Welcome to Slow and Steady, the podcast where you get to follow along as we build products in public. Each week we'll give you an honest peek into our lives as we share our struggles, our wins, and everything in between. I'm Benedikt, and I'm feeling stressed today.
And I'm Benedicte. Today is February 1st. It's a new month. This is episode number 125, and I am feeling trusting.
Ooh, trusting. What do you trust? Or who do you trust?
I'm trusting the process. But over to you, because you have some exciting news to share. I even saw them on Twitter before heading into our recording.
Yeah, today is February 1st, and that means 50 months ago we signed well, not sure if we signed it that day, but like 50 months ago we started working on Userlist, and in our founder agreement back then, it wasn't a company yet or anything, but we decided to basically vest our shares for 50 months. And today's the day when that 50-month period is over and all our shares stay with us, even if we quit today.
Sorry, quitting?
No, I'm not quitting.
So wet vesting, because I hear that thrown around all the time, especially with, developers working in startups, that they stay for 4 years because their shares are vested. And explain it to me like I was 5.
Yeah, so I guess the easiest way to explain it is to explain why it's a good idea to vest the shares. And just imagine 50 months ago when we started Userlist, the 3 of us could have split up the company, everyone gets a third, and then 2 start working on it and put in time and effort, and the third one is just doing nothing. And that would kind of be unfair if they basically get a third of the company for free. So the idea of vesting is that you basically, over a set period, earn parts of your shares. So for us, it was we earned 2% of our 33% of the company every month. Mm-hmm. And if we quit at some point, we basically stop vesting, and then we just get a fraction of it. Or if we stay for 50 months until today, we get the entire third of the company and can keep it no matter what. So that's the rough idea. And there's also the idea of a cliff, and that's basically in our case, we started vesting 2% over the 50 months, but you can also do stuff where you have to at least stay for a year or so before you get anything. So you'd still vest 2% every month, for example, but unless you stay at least a year, you only get it if you stay for a year or longer. And if you leave earlier than that, you get nothing. But we decided that would also be kind of unfair. Mm. So, yeah.
Was that a long conversation, or were you pretty much on the same page early on?
That was a relatively easy conversation. We kind of agreed on those terms relatively quickly. And in hindsight, I'm super glad we did it because not everyone knows, but we started the company with 3 co-founders, and one of us quit 1.5 years in, 2 years in, something like that. And yeah, it would have been kind of uncool if they'd taken their entire third of the company with them. So this way, they still get a decent chunk, but it's not the same amount that Jane and I have. So,
so you are still the 3 owners then, or I guess you have more owners because you took some funding, or how does that work?
Yeah, it started out with just the 3 of us. By now, we also got Tiny Seed got a percentage of ownership. And we also did some another fundraising round using a SAFE agreement, which is basically the promise of future ownership in the company. So technically, right now,
there's so many ways to do this.
But there are people who got promised a part ownership in the future if there's a liquidity event, if we sell the company or raise another round. Those people get part ownership, and then are fully on the cap table, and so that's that. But I mean,
it's its
the
own
vesting
field with
part
its
is kinda,
own, like,
it's crazy.
letter abbreviations, terminology. There's like so.
Takes some time to get used to. That's true.
Yeah.
But the thing that blows my mind isn't really the now it's vested, now it's ours and stuff like that. It's like it's the 50 months. Like,
yes, that is
what?
a long what?
That's 4.5 years or something like that. Not quite, but I mean that's a very long time, and it's hard to believe that it's been that long. When we started, it's 50 months sounded like far distant future, but apparently we made it. The company still exists. It's not bankrupt. It didn't dissolve. And it honestly doesn't feel that long. Like time flew pretty quickly. So I don't know. It just blows my mind.
There's a saying with babies, which is, startups are similar to babies in many ways, but it's called the shortest, longest time. It's like that period when you've until now with my kid too. Like she's 7 last week, and I can feel like that shortest, longest time definitely was correct for those 4 or 5 years, where it's like it feels like you've always had this child, but also it feels like yesterday when you were like partying it up and like living carefree with no responsibility. I'm guessing there, like, a company is a lot of the same, where it feels like forever, but also like it was only yesterday you like didn't have this company.
Yeah. So that's been the thing to celebrate today. Other than that, today has been a shitty day.
But did you take time to celebrate?
Honestly, not yet, because I only realized that today's the day an hour ago. So I was aware that it was happening sometime soon. I think I looked it up in January, sometime earlier this year, and I was like, yeah, okay, February 1st is the day. But I got up this morning and totally forgot about it, and I didn't put anything on the calendar. So it was only when I started writing up the notes about what to talk about, I was like, hey, February 1st, there's something happening on February 1st. What was it again? And then it clicked, and I realized, oh, today's the day. So yeah, but as I said, like, other than that, shitty day. Didn't sleep well tonight, which probably is the root cause of everything, because now I feel like I'm a little bit grumpy today and like get easily annoyed by everything. And then it's one of those days where I set out earlier today to work on something a little bit harder in the code base, try to basically crack a tough nut, and I was just unable to, because there was constantly someone or something nagging me for attention. Like it was either customer support, like something needed my attention there, someone needed a question answered, help with something. It was teammates that had problems with stuff that I had to jump on calls and help fix. And at some point, our robot vacuum started driving around and was still stuff laying around. Before it sucks up some shoelaces again, I had to basically interrupt my work and go around and put the shoes away, and, like, stupid stuff like that. And at some point, I was like, okay, I give up. I did a git reset hard and removed all my code changes for the day, and basically officially gave up on trying to get anything meaningful done on that part today. So yeah, and after that, I fully committed to doing all this small annoying stuff. So yeah, that's my day today.
But it's so funny how that can be like, oh, it's been, I don't know about you, but then you're like, well, it's been a bad week. And sometimes it's only kind of been like a bad 5 hours, but that, especially since we summarize on this day, it's like, well, didn't do anything this week and everything is bad because today was bad. So, did anything good happen this week? Do you have a story of something good that happened?
there probably there probably was good stuff, but the one thing that I vividly remember from last week wasn't a good thing.
Okay.
I once again royally screwed up last week. And we had one of for the marketing feature, we had one customer who generously volunteered to basically test a very early version of it when it was basically just a rough idea and a rough proof of concept. And they've been on a free sponsored account since then. And they've been happily using it and getting some traction with their own product. And last week they were like, I think we agreed that I start paying once that marketing email feature is launched and when I get enough value from it. And I think today is the day I want to start paying for this. And I'm like, yeah, great. Sounds fantastic. I removed the sponsored flag from your account. So next time you log in, you will be asked to enter payment details and stuff like that. And I did that late Wednesday night. So it was super late.
Never ever.
I removed that sponsored flag. So the account was basically marked as no billing details and stuff like that. And I didn't think about any of it. Didn't sound like a big deal. The thing that I forgot was that in the middle of the night, we have a cleanup job that goes into the database and deletes all the accounts that were set up and basically abandoned in the setup process. And one of the signals there is they create the account, but they don't enter billing details. And we clean them up after 3 months or so. So it's a pretty long grace period. But obviously that one test account was set up a year ago, something like that. So in the middle of the night, our system decided to boom, just remove it because it's not set up. And we wiped the entire account, including all users, all emails, all scheduled broadcasts, all automations, everything. And I'm not sure if it was the next day, but soon thereafter, that customer reached out to me on Slack and was like, hey, when I try to log in, it's asking me to set up a new account. Is it what's going on? And I'm like, that's strange. And then, suddenly occurred to me what happened. And I was like, oh no, I literally just nuked that one account. And that was literally one of the first days, this was the first day that I attempted to restore an entire account from our backups. So we have continuous protection on our database. It basically does, I'm not entirely sure how it works, but you can go into the dashboard of the database and enter a timestamp, and it basically will spin up a database clone of the content with the content at that specific timestamp. So after figuring out when roughly the delete was happening, I was able to spin up a new database for it and learned a lot about Postgres copy command and stuff like that. I was able to basically extract all the account data from that one customer and re-import it into existing live database. And it took 5 hours to figure everything out and double, triple, quadruple check and test it. But in the end, I was able to restore the entire account, set it up again with the email provider. Luckily, at some point in the past, I was smart enough to enable versioning on the S3 bucket where we store the file uploads, for the images and emails and stuff like that. And was able to figure out how to restore deleted files in S3 as well. So after a 5-hour effort on, was it Thursday night or Friday night? I don't quite remember. Some late night, I was able to restore the entire account. And it looks like it's working. I didn't miss anything. And it's fully set up again. So
that's impressive.
In the end, I'm super glad. It was a royal screw up, but in the end, it also feels a little bit like an achievement.
I would say that sounds
that it's possible to do this is pretty awesome.
I mean, yeah, it's pretty awesome that you managed to do that. Have you also put some checks in place that if somebody has created an account, does not have billing info, but have been sending campaigns for the last year, they will not get deleted?
I have not put those checks in yet, but I disabled the cleanup job for now. And I put a to-do on my to-do list to look into this and make this a little bit smarter. But yeah, I haven't had the time to actually do it. But at least by disabling it, I'm now confident that this will not happen again, at least for a while. So yeah, that's what happened last week. I
think
guess
I should. I'm gonna take a note of that, and I think Syntax FM, the podcast by Wes Boss and what's his name? Yeah, not that important, but they do dev horror stories for Halloween. I'm gonna nominate you.
Oh, I have more than one.
Well, at least I got the full one of this one. I got the full story firsthand, so I'm gonna try to remember to nominate you in the fall for the dev horror story. I can't do it. Horror stories. Yes. Scott Tolinsky, Wes Boss and Scott Tolinsky. I just had to say their intro in my head. Wes Boss and Scott Tolinsky. They have this trailer intro where there's that type of trailer voice. Anyway, that was a tangent.
Yeah. Oh, I remember. I finished the intro. Did I mention it last week? I'm not entirely sure, but we finished basically the adjustment of the underlying architecture and UI to be able to support more events than just custom events from our customers. So we built an integration that also sends events specific to that application, and it's now possible to trigger campaigns based on that and to create segments based on that and filter everything. And that ended up surprisingly easy. That's probably why I forgot about it. But looks like the overall architecture that I came up with a while ago works well. And it only took a couple small tweaks here and there to now have drop down of custom events from the user's application and a list of other events from the third-party integrations. And that's super exciting because
third-party parties would be like Stripe and Zapier and
exactly. Zapier's is with events from Zapier, we are still interpreting as custom events because they're usually unique to your specific use case. But yeah, this opens up possibilities to get events from Stripe in there. We're thinking about doing integration with customer support tools, so the user gets an event attached to it when they open a support request or something like that. It's just super exciting that this is finally possible. And I think we're probably going to launch that integration this week or so, maybe early next week. And then the next one is definitely working on Stripe integration and billing integrations. There's one other thing missing that would allow us to map basically the Stripe events to users or companies based on their email address or other identifiers. That's the part that's still missing because the email address isn't for example, on a company account, there isn't an email address and stuff like that. So we still need some logic to make that part smarter. But once that is in, I think, the overall architecture is there to support almost anything in terms of integration. So that's exciting. I'm looking forward to it.
A little bit of gratitude there towards past Benedikt and his architecture chops.
Yeah, a little bit. Always glad when the building blocks suddenly fit together and it just falls into place and something new evolves.
But so question,
that's always
when you have the Stripe integration in place, and then you were saying you could create campaigns based off of custom events. So then you could do dunning. Isn't it called dunning when you try to like recoup a customer? If somebody cancels, you can then instead of me sending in this person canceled, I could just like have a trigger on when the kind of Stripe events comes in that it's canceled.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
That's one of the use cases we want to support with this.
Yes,
we have a dunning campaign template in Userlist right now, but so far you had to come up with a trigger yourself, like either by forwarding the Stripe event or having like a billing state that changes or something like that. But once we have the Stripe integration in place, we'll be able to just like, when Stripe event canceled happens, send this campaign to the user or something like that. So that hopefully also will make onboarding a lot easier, because people don't have to necessarily integrate their code base or their application with Userlist, but can just like hook up Stripe, and whenever there's a new customer in Stripe, they get added to Userlist, and when something happens in Stripe, like trial ends or whatever, Stripe lets us know, and we can send a campaign based on that. So that's pretty big. Cool. Like, I'm excited.
Because I've seen services that do only that. You can like sign up for dunning services for Stripe. I don't know if they are still around, but I saw that once when I was like researching that somebody has created a whole kind of SaaS around sending these types of emails, but it like feels, you pay for your email service and then you pay for this and that. And like in the end, like your SaaS is just costing you, like it's leaking money all over the place. So it's very nice when you can have a little bit of is it called consolidation into one tool. But then you don't want the tool to grow too big. So there's this like back and forth between using specific tools and using, one solution for everything tool. But I feel dunning emails should be together with the emails. That feels quite like logical.
I mean, sure. I think like these stunning tools, like I think Churnbuster and Stunning and whatever they are called, I think they still have like an advantage, because they do a little bit of like do a little bit more than just sending the emails. They give you the nice change your credit card forms and links and stuff like that. And I don't see Userlist doing that part of it, but for sure, like the recurring messages when your card payment fails, to nudge people to go into their account and update the credit card, that part is definitely in the wheelhouse of Userlist. And
but then there's also Stripe has its own kind of customer portal that you can connect to now. So you could probably in some way add the link to the Stripe kind of hosted customer portal, and then you would give people the option to change their credit card and stuff in that portal. But then you would need to know the address.
That's an interesting idea for sure. I think it's a little bit out of scope for now, because like integration wise, we only do like the events, funneling the events into Userlist right now. But for some time later this year, we're planning to also redo our message editor, and I think at that point it might get interesting that you can like,
because then you have a Stripe customer portal snippet, and then it's added in.
Something like that. Like have a way to fetch that from Stripe and include it in the message or something like that.
That would be awesome.
We'll have to think about it, but that would be kind of cool.
Let's workshop it on the podcast going forward.
Yeah.
We'd be like, let's workshop Userlist on our podcast.
That would be kind of fun at some point. Like we could not necessarily just Userlist, but anything, like just like workshop something on the podcast. Maybe get someone as a guest who knows what they're doing as well. So
to discuss anyways, I mean, because we had a guest on last week, and that was a ton of fun.
Yes, that was a great conversation. I enjoyed that quite a bit.
Yeah, and we're gonna have Marie on from Llama Life in a couple of weeks. So if any listeners have any questions, let us know.
Yep. Let us know.
Let us know. And also tell a friend. Tell a friend about our awesome podcast. That is what I learned from Justin Jackson's How to Succeed with Podcasting in 2022. You're supposed to say, hello there,
Tell a
listener.
friend.
You might be out walking your dog, but just stop, take a minute and share our podcast with a friend.
Yeah, we'd appreciate that quite a bit, as well as like getting a rating on iTunes or whatever podcast tool you're using and leaving a review, right? I mean, that's the thing you have to do.
Yeah, because I watched that live stream. I think it was last week, so that actually could be part of my update. I think it was last week or the week before, where I think it was Descript had a webinar on how to do podcasting in 2022. It's never too late.
Nice.
Yeah. Anyway, other than
the
that,
best day to start is today.
Yes, exactly. The best was like 10 years ago, but the next best is today.
It's today, yeah.
Yeah. But other than that, I've been working on making some sale pages for the Queen, for my alter ego, Queen Ray. And I've already launched something I call Gatsby Emergency Calls. So if you're ever stuck on a reef around the Gatsby Islands, you can book a call with me and I will help you maneuver off and keep your ship intact, I think is the copy I have on that page. So that's pretty cool. I think that's going to take some time. I haven't started adding links to it, but I will add links to it in the bottom of the emails and on my plugins and try to like have it in a lot of places so people see it again and again. And hopefully, when the trust factor is up and they need help, they'll remember to book a call with me. And then the next up will be to work on my kind of speaker talk page so that it's more clear that I can do that as a service. And it's just also nice to make these. I don't know if I don't know how much traffic kind of the talk or speaker page would give. I'm a little unsure, but it's nice to just have somewhere to send people when they ask you if you can do things like that and like have some pricing and some examples and maybe a speaker bio and all those things, and just setting it up and talking about it. Like hopefully people, because I've gotten a lot of people think I work for Gatsby. So kind of my little focus now is to show people I do not work for Gatsby and I can work for you. So that it's clear that it's possible to buy services from me. So that will be the next one up. And it's really cool because after the talk I did in November, I think it was on privacy encryption in web applications with a Gatsby example. Somebody messaged me on LinkedIn from the talk and like, oh, I really enjoyed your talk, and wrote some like really specific, nice feedback. So I reached out to the person and asked if I could take a screenshot of the direct message because it wasn't public and included on that type of speaker page. And like, yes, of course you can. And that's pretty cool because it looks like, at least I often find that screenshots in a way is more trustworthy than just like having a nice blurb, because sometimes I'm like, how do I know if the person even said that? Of course, you could fake a screenshot as well, but it just like feels a little more like something somebody just did, out of the blue, which feels a little more like trustworthy than
more authentic.
Yeah, and more authentic, I guess, is the thing I was looking for. Yeah, so I'm hoping to get that out pretty soon because I really enjoyed, especially this encryption privacy talk with like Gatsby sprinkled in and the live coding. I felt that went really well. And I would love to do that exact talk several times. That would be cool. And then I think after that, it's just gonna take a lot of time to like work out, but I'm gonna start drafting every week a little bit on kind of a sales page for kind of the demo plugin / module service that I have given or done for one customer, where I made a demo on how to integrate with their service. And I think it's going to be like a three-tiered approach where like the kind of cheapest option is just making a demo that showcases like one way to do it. And then the next tier up will be a plugin or module that a developer can use as a helper tool that will obviously need to be more well thought out because it's going to be able to be used in several use cases. And then a demo will of course like come with that. And then the like high tier, I can say tier, the most expensive royal package will be kind of making that package or plugin module, but together with the community and trying to like engage the community and be more present in the customer or like the client's code base and issues and like being more actively involved for the client. So I feel like that's like I feel like they build on top of each other, and it depending on the client, depends on what they need. And the top one will obviously be a lot more expensive than just creating a demo. So, but that's going to take some time to like, because I've done it once and I kind of know in my head like what I mean and what I think that offering should be, but like getting it down on digital paper, getting it down on file. How do we say that? Can we say getting it down on paper? It's not even paper. Anyway, getting it down on paper like takes some time, but it's really good because it clears your head to like really verbalize what I am thinking about offering, and it could help the possible clients with some clarifications on what I think around those offerings, I guess. That sounded very, but this is why I need to write some more about it. But I do have I did send a proposal for it, so I have something to start with, but that was like specific to that specific client, so I need to make that more general, I guess. So it will probably be for other SaaSes that need to integrate with React or Gatsby applications, and I can demo that or create packages that makes it easier to tie into those services. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
But I had a ton of fun creating the demos that I did in the beginning or at the end of last year, and writing and making a video about that and all of that goodness. Anyway, so I'm trying to make these sales pages at least and make it official that I do not work for Gatsby and I can do work for other people. And then when I have these pages in place, I hope to like redo my homepage so that it's more visual and like send people off to these paid and free things that I do, that I have kind of like, free stuff and paid stuff. So it's very, very clear that I do both. And then hopefully all the plugins and demos and starters that I have out there will like funnel people back to my paid offerings and the Gatsby around the Gatsby Island. And then we keep on doing the streams as always. And since we kind of wrapped up with Miriam and then the new season of the pirate stream, it's only been Ola and I, and it's working really well actually. We had a lot of fun, lots of people watching the last 2 times, or lots an hour, an hour. It's lots, and just lots of fun. And we've been focusing on sourcing and now plugin making, which I think is something, it's kind of like advanced Gatsby topics, which seems like a lot of people wanted to know more about. So, and then we also had somebody wanting to come on, or he needed help with something. And I was like, well, you can come on stream. This was before I had my emergency Gatsby offering. But he wants to embed gists or gists. What would we call them? Those little things on GitHub into embed it through using Sanity and then into Gatsby. And it's really fun because one of my first forays into Gatsby was creating an OEmbed plugin that lets you embed any OEmbed service like Twitter, Instagram, all of these, YouTube, Vimeo, everything that you can embed. And I think Gist was also a part of that. So I've kind of done the general case for this because I did that as a Markdown plugin. And then somebody in 2018 needed help to do this for Sanity. So I made like a one-off job for them to create like an OEmbed plugin for Sanity. So before he comes on, I'm going to have a look at my code from 2018 to see if there's anything I can reuse and at least like get me back up to speed with Sanity. And then we'll go, because I think he managed to solve it. So it will be more of like a code review because he hasn't worked with Gatsby that much, so I can we can have a look through and what was his thinking, what would I do differently, or is there other ways to solve this, and we could have a conversation around embedding stuff on the web, because that is something that is a lot harder in React than one would imagine. And since it's harder in React, it's also harder in Gatsby, because Gatsby is built on React. So things are I was saying, trusting the process. I feel like things are just working itself out and things are coming together. And then as an experiment to make people aware that I, again, do not work for Gatsby, I have set up some automations going to LinkedIn from my website. So I send daily emails now, or 4 times a week I send emails. And now I have it so that there's a link being pushed from the RSS feed through Zapier and over to LinkedIn. And I think, did I mention this on stream before? But my thinking is that a lot of the people that follow me on LinkedIn, or that I know on LinkedIn, are no longer developers. So I don't think they would be super interested in getting this information very specifically about Gatsby. But I think it's good if they get little drips to see that this is something I know something about. And also when I launched the Gatsby emergency calls, I made an email about that. And then they kind of have that in the back of their mind, and hopefully also then with speaking. So they kind of see that there's activity and what topics I talk about. And then hopefully when they need to hire somebody or have somebody do a talk, they'll think about me. But I don't think they will kind of come back to my page and sign up for the newsletter or sign up for the emails. But hopefully I'm just constantly there, and they're in the back of their mind. And I did the same for our podcast. So I got the RSS feed from the podcast that also then gets posted to LinkedIn every week. So that is my foray into LinkedIn, because that feels like a dumpster fire where it feels everybody's spamming. Why not just
why not join the fun?
Why not join in on the fun?
That's a good idea. I should probably just set that up myself, because I started checking LinkedIn a little bit more in the last couple of weeks, mostly to clean out my well, it's not called friend requests, but the friend requests feed, of just people doing stupid outreach, oh, I just found you on LinkedIn, I thought it's a good idea to connect. Sure, why not?
Why not?
So I have to reject all of them from time to time, but I'm not participating or anything, so maybe I can not participate, but just funnel the podcast feed into LinkedIn as well. That's probably a good idea.
And it's super easy to do with Zapier, because you can have an RSS feed as a where it is a source. What do they call it? But, and then have something happen every time there's a new item in the RSS feed. It works really well. I've done it before as well. It just stays up forever, kind of. It's very solid. Unfortunately, with LinkedIn, you couldn't do, because what I initially wanted to do was create a native post on LinkedIn, because they have that kind of blogging feature inside of LinkedIn. And I think they push that more in their algorithms, of course, because everybody wants everyone to stay on their platform.
Yeah.
So I hope that I could kind of cross post, that I could create a LinkedIn post and not a LinkedIn update, but that wasn't possible. I can only do a LinkedIn update, and my emails are too long to put the whole text in there. So then after trying a little bit, I just ended up on a very boring, read my new email, title of email over on Queen Ray, and then that's kind of it. But that compelled me finally, and that was a weekend project, not this weekend, but last weekend, to create social graph images. So now I have when Gatsby builds my site, it actually draws out an image for each page that I have. It doesn't. I've coded a function that draws out an image with Node Canvas, and it's one of those things where I'm going to do that one day. It's probably hard, and then you kind of thought about it for a long time. Not hard. Not that hard.
Cool.
You have to think a little bit differently because there's no automatic layout that you have with HTML, right? So you have to actually position everything absolute on the canvas, and you have to like break up your title and then shift it down one full line if you want the title to go over 2 or 3 lines and all that kind of stuff. But when it's done, and it's so cool that I don't have to spend any time creating these images, and looks so good when I share it to Twitter, and looks so good on LinkedIn, and it's just like, yeah, profesh.
Yeah. It's one of the things I kind of also want to do for the Userlist website, but it's always been pushed off as, there's more important stuff right now. But yeah, interesting that you decided to go with Node Canvas. I always assumed that, like, if I'd built that, I'd probably just like use HTML and then put it into headless Chrome. So you get all the layouting.
A little bit of the reason why I didn't do that is because Gatsby Cloud doesn't support that at the moment. It doesn't support native dependencies or Node native dependencies. But I also think I read some articles, it's so much faster to let Node Canvas draw it. Yeah. So since I want everything statically generated, then it's better if it's faster. But you can definitely, I know that Netlify has an example of how to do this, where you create a serverless endpoint and then you hit that endpoint, and there's some caching involved. So if you hit the endpoint, a lot of times it doesn't get regenerated every time. But I try, especially with my personal project and like my site, which is not that big and I don't want that high of a cost. I don't want somebody's suddenly like spamming my social image endpoint. I just want this to be statically generated. It's done. Makes sense. It can't go down. The image is always going to be there until I regenerate it. So, and it's actually pretty fast. Like it runs. Even with all the images, obviously, when I've written an email a day for the next 3 years, I'm gonna have to rethink this. But at the moment, it works really well. But for you who are an actual working SaaS that's making money, there's always Banner Bear, where this is done for you.
Right. Yeah, that's also an option. Just calling out to someone else. Maybe you should just do that. I think right now we have like a generic image in there, and sometimes Jane decides a custom one for like important stuff. It would also be kind of nice to generate those.
And I think in your case as well, with the marketing person that can actually go into Banner Bear and design these, because then whenever the marketing person wants to change the design, you don't want to be coding up a new Node Canvas thing. But with Banner Bear, you kind of give that, and that's like cool with some of these SaaSes. Like with Banner Bear, you can then give that responsibility to somebody else that then designs and does all of that, and all you as a developer is responsible for sending the correct data into that endpoint, and then the Banner Bear endpoint will like generate the image for you. And it can be used for, it's pricey though, but I'm looking forward to the day I can start using Banner Bear, because you can use it for images. If you just want to create an image for Instagram, you can just like manually hit your endpoint with Banner Bear and like download the image, and there you go, instead of having to go into Canva and like copy paste the content and like shift things around. You can just so I think it's a cool service. We should get a Banner Bear affiliate link for this show.
Good idea.
And a Stripe affiliate. I feel like we're like Stripe. We're like a Stripe commercial.
Does Stripe have an affiliate program? I don't think so.
I don't think they do. Banner Bear probably does though. But anyway, that was me. And I also mentioned earlier that we celebrated my daughter, the Pirate Princess, or our daughter, Pirate Princess, 7-year birthday last week. And
nice.
It's weird because she started school now at 6.5 in Norway, but before, when I was young, 7 was like the age when you started school. So weirdly, for like my generation, we still feel like 7 years is a special year, even though for the kids now they're like, if they've already started school, they're already. But like for us, it's like a 7 years old. It's like still like a milestone. And she definitely is not like a little kid anymore. She's very much on her way towards the tween years. It's just gonna be interesting.
Looking forward to that.
Well, she's very proper so far, so we'll see. She's a little what's they call expired. I can't say the word. Something. She gets annoyed that we are a little we're not always like 100% on top of everything. We're kind of like a loose vibe in our household, but our 7-year-old daughter is very much on top of everything. She likes things to be like proper. She likes rules and proper structure.
It's not that bad if they end up like this, right? I mean,
they're good and bad things about everything. I was probably more like that as a kid and had to like unlearn a little bit because you can get a little too uptight about some things, but it's definitely helpful for us that she's on top of things. She made all her own birthday invites. She got them to school. And then I remembered I should tell her teacher that she's bringing these invites in so that she remembers to give them, I'll hand them out. And I remember that at like 2:00. And then I texted him and I got back like, she's already handed them out. She knew who was leaving early and reminded them to put them in their backpacks. And I was like, okay, never mind. Never mind mom trying to be on top of things. Like she's on top of things.
Nice. That's cool.
So it's all good. It's all good. I can't wait until she can become COO and take over operations. That will be awesome.
Totally. Well, then, belated happy birthday to her. Please celebrate her again from me. Or
we are going to celebrate again with the kids on Saturday. There's going to be a birthday party.
Ah, nice. Cool. Any plans for that?
It's going to be, we're in a neighborhood where we have this like house that you can rent or borrow for parties and stuff which is right next door. So all the kids from her school and some of the kids from the neighborhood are coming. And the normal thing to do in Norway is to eat cake and hot dogs and have some sort of game. She wants a scavenger hunt. And then you find little paper bags of candy. That's it, I think. And she'll get
that sounds like fun though.
Get a present probably as well. So yeah, nice. I think it's going to be fun. It's going to be nice to we haven't seen the other parents that much, of course, because there hasn't been that many school functions. But here in our venue, there's like a large outdoor space outside of the venue as well. So it will be nice when the parents come to pick up or deliver and pick up the kids. We can actually like spend some time together and talk to the other parents as well. So I think it's going to be good. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Any other news from the past week?
No, but I just checked it on my Stripe app, and we've gotten 2 whole new customers in January for POW. Woo! So I'm gonna keep saying this like every episode. Now I'm gonna start working on POW, everyone. We'll see. But all of this like vesting things, very interesting, because I do think I need to bring somebody on board, and I have talked about my neighbor before, and that started me thinking that like there should be some kind of structure where they kind of like earn their way into the company. And now I've learned that that's what vesting is. Like I connected my ID and the word I've heard thrown around and be like, oh, that makes sense. Yeah.
Suddenly it makes sense. Yeah.
Suddenly it makes sense. It's like, yeah, there's other people who have done this before me. It's not, I don't need to reinvent anything. So we'll see. And also, I am open if there is somebody who just like really, really wants to market a privacy first menstrual cycle journal. Let me know.
Yeah. Cool. Then I guess that's it for this week.
It is. What did we decide on last week? We're going to end with see you around the interwebs.
Yes, see you around the interwebs. Bye.